when I got the script, I didn't write the script. We have a very talented writer. His name is Joe Barton. He's a British writer. And when I read the script, I felt such a strong connection to the characters, mainly to Lucy, Ellen's character. And I felt like many similarities to my life. So so I had this passion to tell this story. And to me it was like a gift, the opportunity that I got to tell a love story in such a special setup.
Ellen and I wanted to work together, and so we were reading a bunch of scripts to do together. And when we read this one, it was kind of an instant. We instantly knew we had to make it, and so that's how it started for us. And then we saw Princess, her other movie, and we really loved it, and that's how we all got connected.
It's so fascinating for me to see how different people react to, like how different people think differently. Like for instance about the death penalty, for some people, let's say like more like the Mercy's kind of people, Mercy's camp, like they're looking for revenge, they really need it. Like if someone hurt them, they want to fight back, they want to see him dead. It's like a closure for them. And for other people, like Lucy's camp, for instance, it's different. They have more like moral perspective on life. So that was more interesting for me.
I mean, the script had been around how long? Eight
years.
years.
Yeah.
The movie it wasn't really necessarily going to get made. We just really wanted to work together. So we thought, we're not necessarily being sent any offer right this second to work together, so let's just make it happen on our own. And producing seemed like the obvious way of making that happen quickly.
I think what's the most interesting to me about the film, personally, is that I mean, like she's saying, she doesn't see it as an issue-driven thing, but I think the most important thing in the stuff that I drive for in my work as a writer and director as well is creating full characters, and they just happen to be gay. I think that's the most interesting thing, and it's this love story. It's just an extremely human story, and I think that universal story is at the heart of it. You know, it's whether they're gay or straight. Like it's the humanness of the story is the most important thing, and I think that for me is the most powerful thing. Is I don't think it's distracting that they're two women, in my opinion,
Right.
And I think that like to label it a gay movie is the same way that as a female writer director that I always try to get away from people saying it's a female movie, and I think that's ostracizing in some way. Yeah. I think the most universal thing is that it's actually just a beautiful human love story at the heart of it.
We have like most movies, you know, these sort of narratives that parallel each other. In most movies it's a narrative with the love story, and this just happens to be a same-sex story. So it's that mixture of like being proud to have queer characters, being proud to tell queer stories, but not wanting your film defined that way and having it this narrow, you know, this sort of narrow idea of it, when I think it's very similar to like traditional sort of American narrative in terms of a character dealing with very severe obstacles, repression, profound grief, and then having love enter her world and that expanding her. And to me, you know, it's about how love heals. And then in terms of like the two sides, I think this movie is a little more complicated because in a way we're both, you know, in this environment, you know, somewhat not in our, you know, our control, and on some level I don't know how passionate they really are about the issue, in terms of our relationship and potentially you being the driving force in that, and potentially your parents in that environment being the driving force of your belief. And so I think it's also about, you know, them coming together in that, and versus I don't think it's like so much like this in terms of the sides.